Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the BCP Licensing Sub-Committee. The first item on this morning's agenda is the election of chair, and I seek nominations for the position of chair for this meeting, please.
I would like to move yourself, Councillor Flag.
Thank you, Councillor Canavan.
And I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farquhar. Firstly, can I just ask the clerk to run through the housekeeping measures, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council's website for a minimum of 6 months. The meeting may also be recorded or streamed for live or subsequent broadcast by members of the public, although ultimate discretion in this matter lies with the Chair in case of disruption. For those in the room, please note if the fire alarm sounds, please exit the building by way of your nearest available signed fire exit route and make your way to the assembly point at the War Memorial in the gardens opposite the front of this building in Bourne Avenue. Finally, please ensure background noise is kept to a minimum and mobile phones and other devices are turned off or switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. For those in the room, this includes turning off microphones and turning the volume completely down on your laptops. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2 on this morning's agenda, apologies for absence. Do we have any recorded apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair. So we have apologies from Councillor Lawrence Williams, and Councillor Adrian Chapman-Law is stepping up as first reserve.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interests. Councillor Farquhar, do you have any declaration of interest with regard to items on this morning's agenda?
None from me, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Canavan, do you have any items of declarable interest with regards to items on this morning's agenda?
No, not from me.
Thank you. Item 4, protocol for public speaking at hearings. A protocol for public speaking at meetings of the Licensing Subcommittee is included with the agenda sheet for noting. Item 5, application for Cafe Juice, Branksome Park Tennis Courts and Pavilion. I will now ask each participant to introduce themselves and state their role. I'm Councillor David Flagg, elected chairman for this morning's BCP subcommittee. Councillor Canavan?
I'm Councillor Patrick Canavan. I'm a member of the Licensing Committee.
Councillor George Farquhar, and I'm a member of the Licensing Subcommittee.
Thank you, members. Councillor Adrian Chapman-Law is the reserve member. He's not required to take part in this morning's meeting, but will remain present to observe for training purposes. He will take no part in the deliberations. BCP Council, please.
Andy McDermott, legal advisor.
Sinead O'Callaghan, clerk to the subcommittee.
Kelly King, BCP Council Licensing Officer.
Thank you. For the applicant, please.
I'm Lisa Kirkpatrick, the proprietor of Cafe Juice based at Branksome Park Tennis Club, and I'm representing myself in support of my application for a premises licence.
Thank you. In support, I have 3 names. I have Viv Allen.
No, Viv's not there.
No. It also says may attend or may not attend. So then I have Anne O'Riordan. Yeah. Thank you. And then David Mason.
Yeah.
Thank you. And objecting.
Yes, I'm David Robinson. I actually live in Leicester Road opposite the tennis courts, and I have an objection to scope of the licensing that's been applied for and some of the implications that might give.
Thank you for that, Mr. Robinson. Before I run through the procedure, may I check that all persons who have given notice of their intention to speak, beg pardon. Before I run through the procedure, please may I check that all persons have given notice of their intention to speak have been identified, and any person who wishes to withdraw a representation or wishes not to speak has been identified. If there are no comments, I will take this as correct. I will now explain the proposed procedure and order of speaking for the hearing as follows. The licensing officer presents the report. Questions of the licensing officer by all parties, members of the subcommittee to go first. The applicant will make their application. Questions of the applicant by all parties, members of the subcommittee to go first. Objectors will make their representations. Questions of the persons objecting by all parties, members of the subcommittee to go first. All parties will be given an opportunity to sum up, with the party who spoke last to go first. The hearing will then conclude. The subcommittee will deliberate in private with the legal advisor and clerk present. Notification of the subcommittee's decision will be given within the period of 5 working days, beginning with the day or the last day on which the hearing was held. The notification of decision will include information about the right of appeal as appropriate. I will now ask all parties to confirm agreement on the proposed procedure or make representations. Councillor Canavan?
It's fine with me, Chair.
Councillor Farquhar?
Agreed.
Andy McDermott?
Agreed.
Lisa Kirkpatrick?
Agreed.
Anne O'Riordan? And David Mason?
Agreed.
And David Robinson.
Agreed.
Please may I remind all parties speaking not to repeat the information which they have already been given in writing, but to expand on their written representations. All questions are to be asked through the chair, and there will be no cross-examination of parties. I will now ask the licensing officer to present the report. Ellie, please.
Good morning, Chair. The matter before you for consideration this morning is an application for a new premises licence at Café Juice. An application was submitted by Mr. Stephen Bartlett of Impact Limited on behalf of Lisa Kirkpatrick on the 9th of June 2025. If granted, this premises licence will permit the sales of alcohol between 9 AM and 10:30 PM on every day of the week. The licensing authority received 38 representations from local residents, 1 in objection and 37 representations in support of the application. A copy of these representations is included in your agenda pack at Appendix 3. It is my understanding that the applicant has reached out to the local resident who raised objection. However, mediation was not successful and I have no further information in relation to that. Members will also have had sight of the supplementary information provided by Mr. Robinson relating to concerns around the placement of tables and chairs on the area outside of the cafe, which also forms part of the licensable area. Given that the area in question falls within the licensable area, I have made further inquiries in relation to this matter with BCP Council Senior Rights of Way Officer. And I can provide a little more information in relation to that if members require. Members are asked to consider the evidence before them today and decide whether to grant this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Members, are there any questions for the officer at this point in time?
If I may, Chair, just in your experience, if you please, sorry, just in your experience, as an opening question, Chair, through you, with 38 representations in support, is that an unusual number? Do you find?
In my personal experience, I've not had this many representations in support in the past with any other application.
And to my, if I may, Chair, and to my understandings, then when licensing of all activities have happened at this location before, then am I correct in thinking that a TENS license, a temporary events notice, has been issued to this particular premises?
Yes, there have been temporary event notices for events that have been held at the premises.
May I ask, do we have a record of how many and what the frequency is of those temporary events notices?
I can look that up for you, but I haven't got, literally, I can't give it to you immediately. Just bear with me one moment.
If I may, Chair, I'll maybe ask it of the proprietor.
Lisa, do you have record of how many tens you've used in the past on these premises?
Yeah, I think I'm just coming up to my fifth.
Thank you for that.
May I ask what that frequency is for that fifth? Over what sort of period of time is that?
I have a quiz night once a month. It depends on the functions that I've got. You know, we had the Wimbledon final where I requested a tennis license. So I mean, I opened at the beginning of, it was sort of the second week of February. So it's since then to today, I've had 5.
Thank you for
So,
that.
thank you, Chair. I'll inquire more later on.
Thank you. Lee, any luck? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Councillor Canavan, did you have any questions at all?
Nothing.
No. I have one, please, Ellie. On the balance of the supplementary evidence that was provided by David Robinson, we've received a photograph. I don't know whether I've received a photograph of the outside of the premises. The concern was that the public right of way was being blocked. I just wondered if you can confirm which is the right of way. To me, that photograph seems as though the right of way, the tarmac area would follow on from the top of the steps, and that those the seating arrangements should be on the for the crazy paving rather than the tarmac area. Are you able to confirm that's the case or not?
So I can't confirm exactly where the path is. I've not been to the premises. However, I did speak to the public right of way, senior public rights of way officer on Friday when this information came in, and he has confirmed it's actually not a public right of way at present. It is public space owned by BCP Council, and there are no permissions required in relation to that area. As a matter of courtesy, anybody using the area should make sure that the tables and chairs are arranged in such a way that there's clear and easy passage along there, but there are no permissions required in relation to that. So that's the information that I was provided by the Senior Rights of Way Officer.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from the applicant at all with regards to the officer?
No, I think I'm happy.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson, do you have any questions at all for the officer?
No, I'm quite happy with it. Thank you.
Can I then ask Lisa Kirkpatrick to make your application, please?
Good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I would first like to acknowledge that there has been one objection to this application. However, I would also like to draw your attention to the 37 letters of support submitted by local residents, club members and cafe visitors, many of whom I see regularly. These individuals value what Cafe Juice offers as a welcoming, family-friendly hub for the whole community. Since taking over the cafe in February this year, I've worked hard to create a warm, inclusive space, not just for tennis club members, but for the wider Branksome Park community. I've invested time and money into improving the cafe, running family-friendly events, and building a strong sense of local connection. I'm proud of what we've created in such a short space of time, and the feedback from the public speaks volumes. I'm not applying to turn Cafe Juice into a pub or to serve alcohol all day, every day. I'm simply asking for the flexibility to offer a glass of wine with lunch, a Pimm's during a summer tournament, or more mulled wine at Christmas, things our customers frequently ask for. This is about enhancing community events and supporting the cafe's future, not about encouraging rowdy drinking. Our events are seated, calm and well managed, often ticketed with no vertical drinking. I follow Challenge 25, staff are trained, and I've run every event to date under a temporary notice, responsibly and without complaint. I'm applying for flexibility in licensing hours, not because I intend to use them constantly, but because I don't want to be restricted when planning occasional, seasonal, or community-focused events. This license would allow us to continue providing a warm, sociable, and respectful space for everyone to enjoy. In response to the concerns raised by Mr. Robinson, I'd like to respond clearly and under the relevant licensing objectives. Prevention of public nuisance. My quiz nights and community events, all held under temporary licenses, have never generated noise complaints or antisocial behaviour. I take noise control seriously and ensure guests remain respectful of the setting. Outdoor areas are monitored and no drinks are allowed beyond the licence boundaries. Public safety. The cafe is already a well-used community facility, regularly visited by families, dog walkers, cyclists, and tennis players. The addition of a premises licence won't change the nature of the cafe. It simply gives us the flexibility to enhance what's already working. If anything, the responsible hosting of occasional events has made the area feel more active, welcoming, and better cared for. Several local residents have been genuinely enthusiastic, telling me how much they enjoy seeing the pavilion brought to life with a vibrant, safe atmosphere that benefits everyone. Protection of children from harm. Safeguarding is something I take extremely seriously. As a parent and the parent representative for my daughter's year at school for several years, I'm actively involved in promoting a safe and positive environment for children both in and out of school. I would never support anything that could compromise the well-being of young people. The cafe already operates alongside the tennis courts where junior coaching takes place, and we've had no safeguarding concerns to date. Regarding the green netting mentioned in the objection, I've had it confirmed that this was not installed for privacy or safeguarding reasons. It was a requirement for planning permission related to the floodlights. A bat survey showed that bats nest in the nearby tree line and the netting was installed to reduce light spill by 90%, helping to protect local wildlife. It had nothing to do with the children's tennis sessions or the cafe. This application is not about encouraging inappropriate drinking, especially not early in the day. It's simply about offering flexibility. For example, allowing a parent to enjoy a glass of wine with lunch or supporting well-managed events. The idea of people drinking alcohol at 9 a.m. while watching children is simply not reflective on how the cafe operates. I continue to work closely with the tennis club to ensure the environment remains safe and welcoming. Staff are always present during cafe hours, and any future alcohol provision will be carefully supervised and responsibly managed. I am fully committed to upholding safeguarding best practices in line with the club's policies and my own standards. Public access obstruction concern. I understand there has been a late objection regarding the placement of tables and chairs on the terrace area, suggesting they may obstruct a public pathway. I'd like to clarify that these tables have been in place for the past 8 years without any previous complaints. Since taking over in February, I have not increased the number of tables or chairs, and they are always brought in at closing time. Access remains fully open. This weekend, I took photos which clearly show the pathway is unobstructed. We regularly welcome wheelchair users from the nearby special needs school, and they've never experienced any difficulty navigating the area to enjoy the tennis. And I'm happy to provide photographic evidence if helpful. Engagement with Mr. Robinson. In addition, I'd like to mention that on the 4th of July, I invited Mr. Robinson to meet me at the cafe so I could listen to his concerns directly and show him how we operate. He kindly accepted, and we had a respectful conversation. While I wasn't able to change his mind, I felt it was important to make that effort. He had never visited the cafe before, so I wanted to welcome him personally and be transparent about both our current practices and future intentions. I hope it demonstrates that I take feedback seriously and treat all concerns, even objections, with respect. Local licensing context. It's also worth noting that other local clubs, including East Dorset Tennis Club and Branksome Park Bowls Club, our immediate neighbours, the other side of the tennis courts, both hold licences for alcohol. I believe this shows there's a clear precedent for responsible licensing within our local sporting community, and that the presence of a licence can support, not harm, the atmosphere of a family-friendly club. In closing, granting this licence is not just about supporting a small local business, although I will say openly that without social events, the cafe is unlikely to be financially viable. But more importantly, it's about protecting what we've already built, a positive, inclusive space that reduces antisocial behaviour, brings people together, and supports well-being in the community. It's actually a current topic in the news. The government is looking at changing planning and licensing rules to help support hospitality, which I think really highlights how important spaces like ours are for the local community. Many regulars have told me that coming to the cafe has improved their mental health, whether through social connection, routine, or simply having a safe and friendly place to go. That's something I'm incredibly proud of. I remain fully committed to managing alcohol sales responsibly, with clear boundaries and a continued focus on community, safety, and respect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. Do members have any questions for Lisa at all? Councillor Canavan.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm just, forgive me for using these, but I can't hear you if I don't. But it also gives a lot of feedback, so forgive me for that. But I'm just trying to understand the footfall in terms of the balance between tennis players, so club members and members of the public who just come in on a casual basis. I wonder if you could perhaps give me some indication of that. I'm just trying to visualize numbers. And the other thing is, the second question related to that is, you mentioned about the flexibility of being able to serve alcohol. And I'm just wondering if you'd be able to explain to me perhaps what your current opening hours are in terms of the cafe, and how that might change were this application to be granted. I hope that's okay. Thank you.
In terms of the first question, we have 5 courts, so we can have maximum of 20 players coming off court at one time. I always say every hour they sort of come off. I think it's been really positive to see the increase from the local community also coming down. I think before it was just the members, but the local community, whether it's elderly people that live on their own, dog walkers, I've got cycling groups. I only have seating inside for I'd say 26 comfortably. And then outside seating, probably another 20. So it's varied at the moment. I can see it increasing, which I see as a positive. I mean, at the moment, with the weather being nice, a lot of people have been sitting outside. So the inside, they sort of move in when the weather turns. So does that help answer your question there?
Yes, and your hours of
Hours. My current hours are I work 9 till 2, 7 days a week. The events that I put on, it's normally a couple of events a month, depending on what people are asking for. We've obviously had a busy time of year. I like to host a quiz night the last Wednesday of every month, which has been really popular. The first couple I did, the next 2 actually sold out immediately. So, and in terms of, I've got a 60th birthday party that's booked in for about 20 to 30 guests for that. I've had not Liverpool, sorry, that would be nice. Lilliput Football Club attending for that was a mixture of children and adults. I'm kind of evolving as time goes on, and I'm listening to what people would like, which is why I like that flexibility. This whole year is a learning curve for me. It's sort of working out what works, what doesn't work. But so far it's all been positive. The quiz nights have been a huge success. I have spoken to local residents that live opposite, that actually come down and spend time in the cafe, and they've had no issues with any of the evening events that I have hosted. All my evening events, even my quiz nights, they start at 7. They actually finish at 9:30, so most people have left by 10:30. So yeah, in terms of late into the night, yeah, I'm too tired.
Thank you for that. Councillor Farquhar, did you have any questions for?
I do indeed, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll try not to hog the entire microphone. Ms. Kirkpatrick, very much appreciate you coming in. I know it can be quite daunting to do a presentation. And I really appreciate the attention which you paid to the licensing objectives and upholding and promoting those in your presentation. That is essential for any hearing of the licensing committee to understand that somebody grasps the importance of those objections, or should I say those objectives, for being a good neighbour, but also for the protection of the public. Can you explain to me your, would you be, with this application, would you be the designated premises supervisor and also the premises license holder? Is that the case?
Yes, I would be. I've done my personal license. I did a course with Impact and did an exam for the personal license. So yes, I would be the premises license supervisor.
Understood. And in this particular case, and you'd also hold the premises license as well,
Yes.
because you describe yourself as the proprietor. What is your, are you the owner of the actual building itself?
Of Cafe Juice, no, it's council owned.
Yes.
The main coach, Aaron Russell, runs the tennis side of things. I run the cafe side.
Understood. So can you describe a typical day where you're open from 9 to 2 to the subcommittee, please?
My husband generally goes down about 7:30, pops the tables and chairs out. I arrive at 8:30. We normally have deliveries arriving around that time for baked goods, not every day. I set up, people arrive, you know, they're normally already there, but I like to sort of start serving about 9. Sometimes I'll do the odd coffee for a dog walker or tennis player if they're needing a bit of energy before their game. Sometimes between 8:30 and 9. I have a mixture from the general public and tennis players that come in. We do a light bite menu as well as cakes. The light bite menu can be salads, bacon brioche, quiche. I sometimes, it's very varied. I sometimes do events with the coaches. For example, Coach Brian runs a session with the tennis members where he'll do an hour and a half of tennis. 8 ladies then come off court and have a set lunch menu with me. This could be 8 to 10 ladies. It's very popular. They then sometimes go back on court with Brian for an hour and a half, but they have said they would like to come back afterwards just to have a glass of wine. They're generally set, scheduled events that I know about. During Wimbledon, I did offer strawberries and cream.
If I may, Chair, just before we go into the actual, you know, the request for having a glass of wine through you, Chair, and the actual events, I think that's a bit of a follow-up question, which I'm curious about. But how does your normal day running the CAF wind up, if you please? Because this was the question, was what's a typical day?
Oh, typical day.
For yourself.
Right, so a typical day without a temporary license. Yeah, people will come off court, they'll have coffee, cake, sometimes they have lunch. They socialise. So you'll have members coming off court after games. You have dog walkers, cycling groups in. And I serve them, and then generally at 2 o'clock I bring in all the tables and chairs, and I close up for the day.
Thank you, Chair. May I have a follow-up question as related to the tens on this particular side. So you indicated that your husband puts out the tables at about 7:30 in the
Yeah.
morning, and you come in at 8:30
Yes.
for opening at 9. But sometimes you give refreshment before 9 o'clock in the form of coffees they've requested.
Yeah.
So is it your husband that decides the placement of the chairs and the tables, and then you take the tables in at night, and where are they actually stored? So
They're
two
stored
questions there.
Sorry, they're stored inside the cafe. I think my husband comes down because I was having back issues carrying them in and out every day.
Thank you. Did you have a follow-up, Councillor Farquhar?
I do. Do you employ anybody to help you? Because this is quite a strenuous demand upon you to run a business from 9 to 2, not including the setup, etc., 7 days a week.
I have someone that temporarily helps me, comes in on an ad hoc basis. Nick, who's there today, and my daughter helps out, my 14-year-old daughter, during holiday time. At the moment, I am trying to manage my costs. My husband also helps out. Tremaine helps out. I'm trying to manage my costs. Staffing is one of my biggest costs. And obviously with overheads and everything, I have to bear that in mind. So, yeah, but I do have Nick that helps me, but it's not set days.
Thank you.
If I may just on that one, Chair, can we inquire that these people helping out, including the daughter, did you say?
My daughter, yes.
14?
14.
14. Have they got any personal licenses or experience of controlling a premises that is licensed?
But both of them have. My daughter doesn't generally help out with the quiz nights because it's all over 18. But I do have. Can't remember the name of the pack. I've got a pack that Impact actually put together for me in terms of the training of the staff, so they are aware of the Challenge 25 policy, and I've got logs that refusals and incident logs. Not that I've ever had to use them, but all my staff will be trained up. They've had to read, Nick has read through the training procedures for that.
Thank you for that. Any further questions, Councillor Farquhar?
Yes, indeed. You mentioned that that you had 3 events. I took a note. So it would be the serving of Pimm's, which I presume is during Wimbledon week, events, which are tournaments, which you mentioned, and mulled wine at Christmas. But you've used 5 tens licenses since May for quiz nights. Would you like to explain how the quiz nights have gone and how it's been controlled and what sort of alcohol you served at those quiz nights, please?
Yes, the quiz nights are all ticketed, so I take down the names of everyone that is attending. It's basically six teams of 4. That's the maximum that I take. They have they purchase the ticket. In with the ticket price, they get a sharing platter of continental meat and cheese. They arrive at 7. They purchase drinks, which I have 1 red, 1 white, 1 rosé, and 2 bottled beers. I don't have the capacity in my fridges for anything else. So the alcohol menu is limited. The sort of wine and beer. So they come in at 7. They generally get a drink. They sit down at their table. Platters come out at 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. The quiz generally starts at 8 o'clock. People do purchase alcohol throughout, and quiz is finished by 9:30. People may stay for another drink, and then they head home. I have signs up asking people to leave quietly, and everyone is respectful of that.
Thank you for that.
If I may, Chair, just a follow-up, because there was the mention of the ticketing of these events. Is that for future events? Is that planned to be ticketed as well?
I can't ticket all events, and I kind of want that flexibility. There are times when people come in for lunch and they have said it would be nice just to have a glass of rosé. That sort of I can't ticket that sort of thing, because they come in, it might be a couple of ladies or a table of 4. Other functions, if it's ran alongside the tennis club, like the tournament, so the coaches put on a tournament and then the members will come off, and again it's set numbers, so I may know that, right, I've got 20, and we've done it previously with an advanced tournament where they come off and they have a Peroni after they play.
If I may, Chair, thank you very much. And I know that I'm maybe hogging all the questions here. I think Councillor Canavan might be itching to ask another one. But just there was mention of another tennis club and a bowls club in close proximity that have licensing. Can we ask the officer if what the terms of those licenses are, and if there's been any sort of reports of issues with those particular licenses?
Ellie, are you able to answer that question at all?
Yeah, so I did look while people were speaking, and Branksome Park Bowls Club do hold a club premises certificate, so it's not a licence, but it is a club premises certificate, which permits the on sale of alcohol until 11 o'clock. From, let's have a look, 11 till 11, Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday is 12 till 10:30, so the hours are slightly different there. But that is for on and off sales of alcohol, so which is different to the application that's been made here, which is for on sales only. There are no reports of issues surrounding that licence at all. I didn't catch the name of the other premises.
East Dorset.
East Dorset, was it? Bear with me 1 second and I can have a quick look for you. Oh, well, I will if I can get some connectivity.
If I may, Chair, just for Ms. Kirkpatrick, the bowls club, how close is it to this
The bowls club is all we've got in between us is 5 tennis courts. Many members of the bowls club actually pop into the cafe. I've met quite a few of them. We get on very well and we have a very good relationship.
Do you have thank you, councillor Farquhar. Did you have a question, councillor Callanan?
Yeah,
which we can-
I just wanted to ask a separate question about safeguarding, if I may. Just to be reassured that the tennis club itself has a safeguarding officer.
Yes, yes, they do. It's the policies actually displayed in the window. So Aaron Russell, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. If there are no further questions, are you happy for us to move forward?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We do have an answer on that.
Mm.
Okay, so their licence is for. So they have restricted hours. So it is. So they have other things on their licence. So they have recorded music, performance of dance, activity like music and dance, late night refreshment, and supply of alcohol from 10 till midnight on every day of the week. And then they have some seasonal variations. So essentially, it varies throughout the season in terms of their opening hours and the licensable activities. With June to August, the activities being present between 10 and in the morning and 10:30 at night, every day of the week, and between September to May, it's generally from 10 in the morning until 9:30 in the evening. And that is a standard license, so it's just, it's not a club premises certificate, it's a standard license. Were there any other questions in relation to that?
Thank you for that, Ali.
Just one last one. The distance for the East Dorset Lawn Club to the actual use. Put on that one.
Lilliput. It's near Ashley Cross.
Is that meters or is that kilometres or miles or?
About 3-4 miles.
Understood.
Right, are members content? Thank you. Thank you. Right. David Robinson, do you have any questions at all for the applicant?
No, not at the moment, no.
Thank you. I will now move on to supporters of the application. Anne Reardon, would you like to address the committee?
Yes, good morning. I wasn't planning to speak. But
It's just that I have you down to speak, and that was all.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay. Since Lisa opened the cafe, it's been an absolute delight to our tennis players just to stop for coffee. But having run a business myself, I can see that you can't run a business just selling coffee. And so for Lisa to be able to develop her business, I would support her application.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And then I also have David Mason. Would you like to address the committee, please?
Okay. First of all, I fully support Lisa's application and her presentation today. And I must say that myself and all the tennis players were delighted when Lisa took over earlier this year, because in the past we've had just a coffee or a drink of water. That's all we've been offered in the cafe. Now we've got much more than that, including light lunches. And I appreciate that she needs an alcohol licence to support her income. And I can see that she's built it up gradually, which in my view has been the correct way to do it. In my working life, I was a chartered accountant. I acted for lots and lots of small businesses that some were good, that built up gradually, to become viable. Others didn't, of course. I consider that Lisa, has done it in the proper manner. And to make it viable, I think she needs this alcohol licence. Also, of course, the special functions that she has, quiz nights, etc. Most people would expect to have a glass of wine or a beer when attending those functions. And finally, I'd just like to say that I consider Lisa will be a responsible licensee.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mason. Right, I will now move on to the objectors. Mr. Robinson, would you like to address the committee, please?
Well, the first point is, though probably all know it, it's actually located in Branxton Wood Park, which is part of the Branxton Park and Chine Gardens Conservation Area. And to quote BCP Council, conservation areas are designated if we consider that their particular character is valuable and should be preserved. As I stated earlier, I'm a nearby resident. I actually live opposite the tennis courts. Though I don't play tennis, I'm not a member of the tennis club. Virtually all of the tennis club members live elsewhere in little or no proximity of the club. And this is evidenced by the number of cars in the car park. If there's a lot of people playing tennis, there's no room in the car park and they start parking up Wilderton Road. A few cycle and a few walk. So when I first moved into the area 7 years ago, the pavilion served teas and coffees to players, parents of children having lessons and the occasional dog walker. Now, this licence, which we only happened, my wife and I walked across to go down the Chine a few weeks ago, and we saw the blue notices on the lampposts, which said actually 9 to 11 at night, which gave us alarm bells. So obviously this licence is asking to serve alcohol from 9 in the morning to 10:30 at night, every day of the year, with no restrictions other than vertical drinking. When Mrs. Kirkpatrick first advertised her cafe in Pines and Chines in April, and that's the magazine of the Branxton Park and Canford Cliffs Residents Association, she described Cafe Juice as your new favourite coffee spot. No indication that a couple of months later she would be making an application to sell alcohol. Now, I'm not suggesting she's being deceptive on this. I raised this with her when I met her, and she said, and she's repeated it today, things are evolving. She's worked out that she needs to do the licence to keep financially viable. But things do change. So just because in the best of spirits, somebody says, this is how I'm going to operate today, there's no guarantee, unless it's restricted in writing legally, that they can't operate in a much more extravagant way later for whatever reason, maybe even against their own wishes if they're forced to do something a bit more open to remain viable. So that's where my main concern is, and I've expressed this to Mrs. Kirkpatrick, that it's just far too open, and it could result in an all-day, 365 days of the year drinking establishment. As I've written here, I met Mrs. Kirkpatrick at Cafe Juice. She outlined her vision of how she planned to operate. I explained my deep concerns about how this licence application is, in my opinion, much too wide. It requests opening hours which exceed the needs of Mrs. Kirkpatrick's current vision as she described it to me. And I actually believe that we need, and this is what I'm looking for, precise and limited licence terms, because they're the only means by which any future operational changes can be prevented from damaging Branxton Park Wood's character. I'd just like to come back to the status, or talking about the Bowls Club. This point I made actually in the representation, this is not an application from a sports club for their sports club bar. I know it's close to the tennis courts and it seems to be part of the tennis club, but it's actually a separate entity. The most sports club bars are usually in pavilions which are inside their perimeter, and that's certainly the case at the Bowls Club. My daughter belongs to Parkstone Yacht Club. Now, we occasionally go down there as her guests. It's like getting into Fort Knox to get into Parkstone Yacht Club unless you've got a pass. She has to sign us in and she signs us out. And this is the difference between what you have with a sports club and what you have with a sports club which happens to have a building on the side which is open to the public as well and encourages the public to go in to keep the business up. So there's less control there. Sports clubs can easily control what goes on in their premises because they know who the members are. They can discipline members if they don't like what they're doing. Mrs. Kirkpatrick, I know, doesn't want to have rowdies in her club or bar or whatever it is, but sometimes it's difficult to stop that. So that's I don't have any problem at all with people playing tennis and wanting to have a drink afterwards, to socialise afterwards. I didn't even know when Mrs. Kirkpatrick told me that they had quiz nights and things like that. Never heard anything about it. I have no problem with that. I just fear that there is a possibility that it could become just a drinking establishment. And Mrs. Kirkpatrick could have this licence and could run it superbly for, say, 5, 10, whatever years, maybe pass the business on to somebody else. They could apply for a similar sort of licence. There'd be no record of any problems, and they could operate quite differently. So I think the only other thing I'd like to say is on the child safety thing. I mean, I wasn't just picking it out because I wanted to be awkward. I worked in offender management and Ministry of Justice before retiring, and I've had a lot of experience with all sorts of offenders. And it was just when I saw they were selling alcohol, could sell alcohol at 9 in the morning on a Saturday morning when the place is absolutely heaving with young children, it just rang a bit of an alarm bell with me. So that's why I raised that. But it's for the Dorset police who look at these things to make decisions on whether it's a problem or not. Not I worked in Hertfordshire. I was part of the Hertfordshire Criminal Justice Authority. And I think that's it. So just to finish, to sum up what I thought, it's not a sports club bar. I think 9 till 10:30 at night could be used to create a pub, and that would be inappropriate in the Branksome Wood location within the conservation area.
Okay, thank you for that, David. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Robinson at all? No? Councillor Farquhar?
Not at this time, Chair.
Thank you. At this point, I would move on to the summing up process, and I realise you've just spoken, and you did say just to sum up. But if there's anything that you've forgotten to mention to the committee that you'd like to just bring to our attention now, this is your opportunity.
It's just the potential opportunity the license to be used to create.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Lisa, is there anything else that you wish to add to your application or bring to the committee's attention before we deliberate?
I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to hear my application today. I hope I've been able to show that this is not about turning Cafe Juice into something that it's not, but simply about giving us the flexibility to continue to build a safe, inclusive and vibrant community space. The cafe is already a valued part of daily life for many local people, from tennis members and families to dog walkers and wheelchair users. I'm proud of the warm, welcoming atmosphere we've created, and I'm committed to managing any future alcohol provision with the same responsibility and care that I've shown so far. This licence would support the cafe's sustainability, allow us to respond to customer requests, and help us host seasonal and community-focused events in a well-managed, respectful way. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Right, at this point, Mr. Mason, yeah, we don't normally, because you spoke in support of the applicant, but on this occasion, I'm happy to listen.
I'd just like to say, I think what Mr. Robinson has just said is purely hypothetical. And I don't think it's really valid to compare to other sports clubs because the signing in procedure, anybody can sign anybody else in and the same thing could happen. And secondly, I think that all the evening events that Lisa is proposing, it's not going to be every night. It's not going to be open every night. It's going to be open only occasionally for just a special event.
Okay, Mr. Mason, I think that's already been addressed.
okay.
But thank you for your input. Right, I will now conclude the hearing. At the end of this meeting, the subcommittee will adjourn in private with the legal advisor and the clerk to deliberate. The decision will be conveyed to you in writing as explained earlier. Thank you very much for your attendance. If you're willing to stay, we only have one more item on the agenda, but I'm happy for you to leave if you so wish. Yes, actually, before we disperse, can I call on the legal advisor just to run through the right of appeal?
Just to say that parties will have 21 days to appeal to the Magistrates' Court against any decision made today. That time limit will start from when you receive a notice of the decision in writing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, members, item 6 on this morning's agenda, application for chicken and beer 58 Stanfield Road, following the conclusion of the previous hearing. The licensing authority has received an application for a new premises licence for the premises known as Chicken and Beer, 58 Stanfield Road, Bournemouth, PH29 2NP. The subcommittee is asked to adjourn the hearing until the 27th of August 2025 to enable all parties to be represented at the hearing. This is in accordance with Regulation 12 of the Licensing Act 2003, Hearings Regulations 2005, and is with the agreement of all parties. Are the subcommittee happy to adjourn this application until the 27th of August 2025?
Agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, members. I will now conclude the hearing. Thank you.